Just when you thought the Shannon's Nationals had seen it all, along comes Phillip Island. And more variety than the series has ever seen before. The Australian Manufacturers Championship has been a staple of the Shannon's Nationals since way back when. But this year, the muscle car madness of the Touring Car Masters joins the fray. This is a series of big stars, great cars, and some of the wildest, most exciting racing going around. It all adds up to the mighty mix of men, women and machines that make up round 3. The Shannon's Nationals presented by High Tech Oils, here at Phillip Island. This weekend's Shannon's Nationals round at Phillip Island represents the first time since 2008 that the Touring Car Masters series has come out to play on the Shannon's Nationals program. Joining me in commentary for this is TCM racer Doug Westwood. Doug, welcome to you. Great to have you in the commentary box, but why aren't you out in the racetrack?
Thanks, Richard, and no thanks, Richard. We had a bit of a drama, as was widely televised at Clipsal, race 3, where we launched an engine quite spectacularly, so we in the process of doing a rebuild.
Well, this is the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Our chauffeur today is Bill Pye in the first hire Camaro. Great sounding racing car. This is a cool place, isn't it?
It's a great place. I would suggest Bathurst is the icon, but this is probably the driver's favourite. So what's the key to a quick lap around the 4.46k Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit? I think you've got to be very smooth with the throttle, certainly to get the power down early, and also be quite brave. And these cars, you wouldn't think that they're ideally suited to a high-speed racetrack, but the racing we get on tracks like this is fantastic. Yeah, I actually prefer a flowing track with the car, and yeah, this is one of the best. So out of the Honda hairpin, great overtaking opportunity there. You can fire one down the inside if you're good on the brakes. You can, and you can also follow into Siberia on the outside. That is that great corner. Run out wide, and then a really good bit of bitumen to the hay shed, and then up over Lukey Heights. Oh yeah, this is where you've got to be brave, through the hay shed, and quite late under the brakes going to Lukey Heights. How much are you sliding the car, and can you feel that when you're behind the wheel? About lap 8, lap 9 you can. When the tyres are out? Yes, you can. So over Lukey Heights, this is MG, great overtaking opportunity again. There's a couple at this racetrack. So under brakes on the inside, and these last 2 corners, Doug, are crucial because they set your whole run up down onto Gardner Straight. They're very, very crucial, especially the next one coming up now. Bill's very experienced around the track, and he's doing it very well. So out of turn 12, this fast left-hand sweeper, use all of the road on the exit and complete another great lap of one of the great circuits in the world. It's a flying lap in a Touring Car Masters Camaro at Phillip Island.
Today the Touring Car Masters have their first season in Phillip Island since 2008. I'm joined by John Bowe, motorsport legend. John, tell me all about it.
Well, this is one of Australia's best tracks, so it's great for the Touring Car Masters to be here as part of Shannon's Nationals. This is the first time we've actually raced with the Shannon Series, so it's been pretty good, except the weather's, as you can see. I reckon you need a jacket.
Now you did well at the Clipsal 500. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I won the round. We have Touring Car Masters has 3 races at each round, and we basically follow the V8 supercars around the country, and it's a great series. It's for muscle cars of the 60s and 70s, so you know it's pretty iconic stuff. It's a lot of fun.
And who are your main opponents?
I've got a few opponents, yeah, quite a few. Gavin Bullis, he's got a Mustang very similar to mine. Jimmy Richards, of course, I've been racing against Jimmy Richards for 30 years. He's fantastic to race with. Andrew Medici, I've been racing against him for a long time. But guys like, you know, that have been around and done lots of racing, usually they gravitate towards something that's fun and enjoyable, and this is. So far, you're leading the series. Can you take out the championship? I don't honestly concern myself too much about it. It's just, I take race by race, and you know, after having had a whole lifetime in motorsport, I try and just enjoy it and enjoy the camaraderie of the people, and just good fun.
It's the first time the Touring Car Masters Series has raced with the Shannon's Nationals, but it's not the first round of the series. We had the opening round at the Clipsal 500 Adelaide. This is how it finished. John Bowe just edged out Andrew Medici and Jim Richards in the top 3, with Bill Pye, Gavin Bullis, Mark King, Keith Kuzuki and Brett Gilden completing the top 8 in the points. The weekend's proceedings kicked off on a cold Phillip Island morning with race 1 staged on a greasy racetrack. But that didn't stop the big field from racing hard down towards turn 1. Ready for a start. They're underway at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, Touring Car Masters. The big field gets this race underway as they fan out towards this super fast turn 1. Doug Westwood with me. It's a case of hold your breath as you file on here with 32 cars on the racetrack. The battle for the minors was exciting, but nobody could take their eyes off the massive battle for the lead between John Bowe and Gavin Bullis. Doug Westwood, great fight for the lead of the race. Bullis looks down the inside.
That's a tough move by Gavin.
Side by side, bit of hip and shoulder. They're not afraid to mix it up.
Yes, and certainly hold your line there through into Siberia, but Bowie just held out there a bit.
Here we go again. Bowe looks down the inside.
That's a great move by Bowie.
Good move, gets it done. Car 18 back in front of the motor race. Last lap of the motor race, it's not over yet. Bullis looks down the inside, side by side, into the hairpin. Brave move.
And Bowie's certainly going to hold his line into Siberia by the looks of it.
So he's going to fight for this. He doesn't give up, John Bowe.
He never gives up. He never gives up.
And here comes John Bowe. He takes the win with Gavin Bullis in second. Time to get ready for race 2, round 2 of the Touring Car Masters series here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. And just for fun, Doug Westwood, we reversed the top 10 starting positions going into this one.
And it's great to see the last car, Jason Rich's race car he drove on the front row.
Yeah, with Tony Huntett, the car owner, doing the driving duties. Mark King on the inside in the 34 car. 2 HQs, slightly different cars. Wow, wild stuff. Bill Pye had to take evasive action off the start as Bullis flies through in the Mustang after a great performance in race 1. But everyone's away down towards this fast opening corner at Phillip Island. Nigel Benson just on the outside. He's back in the HQ. But what a start. Chris Collins in the XB 4-door leads the motor race.
Yeah, it's been a while since that car's led a race with, I think Leanne was the last one.
At Mount Panorama, yeah, won the race on the Sunday 2 years ago. So Chris is making his debut in the series. Here's Bill Pye in the Camaro. Down the inside of Medeke, gets that done. And now looking at Hunter, who slipped back, and Mark King now buys his way to the front of the race. Gee, these opening laps are frenetic action, aren't they?
They certainly are, and Mark's pretty tough into the braking zone there, so I've been there with him before.
On the receiving end, or?
on the receiving end, that's the taking end.
So King in front. This has been a good performance by the former 2-time production car champion in a 4-wheel drive turbo Mitsubishi. Here's Greg Keane in the Porsche, has to take evasive action.
That could have been a big incident there.
Yeah, great job to get that car out of the way. Took to the grass. Matt O'Brien off there, and that brand new car of Steve Mason's as well, the new Mustang, had to get out of the way pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's great to see that car after 12-month build on the track at last.
That was a wild, wild moment, wasn't it? And this opening lap, cold tyres, cold brakes, everyone's trying to get this stuff together.
A cold place at Phillip Island this weekend, as I understand it.
It is, it is. There's Bullis. What a great opening lap from Mark King. He's got the HQ, the 4-door, out in front and starting to pull a gap.
Yeah, certainly is, and that car's not short of grunt down the straight either, I have to say, for a 308.
And Mark King, a very handy racing car driver to beat.
Yeah, he's very tough, very hard and very fast.
Here's Brett Yilden. Speaking of tough and fast, in the HQ, it's been a while since we've seen the Monaros towards the front of the field. In fact, the Aussie cars are first, second, third and almost fourth. Collins gets forced a little bit wide. Wow, Bullis at turn 1. That's brave stuff.
That is brave, and Keith did well there too, I think, in the new Falcon.
Yeah, and that's his first start in that car. He only recently purchased it from Jim Morton. That's the car that Glenn Seaton finally broke his Bathurst duck in last October. Got that win on Sunday at the Mountain.
Yeah, that was quite an interesting time being up at Bathurst that day that he won.
Wow, Yilden gets the car crossed up under brakes. He's looking down the inside of the Falcon now. So the 2 Aussie cars side by side, about the same generation. Never really raced each other in touring car racing back in the day, because the Tirana had become the forefront of Holden's racing at the time. You're a Ford man though, so you might like the Falcon going well.
Yeah, it's great. The XA four-door is it's quite unusual to see that on the track. It never raced obviously in the day, but yeah, obviously it's showing its potential here today.
And Mark King drove that car last year and had a terrible season, so it's good to see it at the front of the field.
It is, and with the newcomer too, and Chris Collins.
Yeah, he's come from literally nowhere and has raced at the front of the field. He's going to get wrapped up by Bullis here, and I think Bill Pye might try and follow him through in the Camaro. Former Porsche racer, we're on board with him.
That's a tough group there, Richard.
Very, very competitive. You'd like to be in the thick of it though, I get the impression.
I would love to be in there. Yep, certainly would.
We need to talk about that. How's the rebuild of the Falcon going?
We're getting there. It's been a bit of a slow process getting the new engine together, but we're almost there. Brad Tilley's doing the new engine for me, and we'll be at Ipswich in a couple of months.
Just how big was that barbecue at the Clipsal 500?
It was quite spectacular. Yeah, we've had to rewire the car, and yeah, we're taking a bit of opportunity to do a bit of a rebuild.
And you said to me before we came on air, as Bill Pye fires one down the inside of Bullis and fires Bullis off the racetrack at well over 200 k's an hour, bounces through the gravel. Hold on to it, Gavin, but he's out in a paddock that on Friday was a metre underwater. So he needs to keep the boot into it and get it back on the racetrack. But the man that was fighting for the lead of the motor race in race 1 is right off in the paddock at Phillip Island.
Yeah, I don't think he'd enjoy that after what happened to him at Clipsal either.
So side by side, talk us through this, just off the racing line.
I think he just got in. Obviously, there's a bit of rubbish on the outside of the track there after the weather, and I think Bill's just pushed Gavin a little bit wide there, and off he goes.
Bullis has got motocross experience, supercross back in the day, but I think that's a little bit contrary to what he's used to. As we watch Tony Edwards, he's got the SLR 5000 really singing the Tirana up towards the front of the field. And Doug, that's a car that's always been fast, but they've been trying to build reliability into it.
Yeah, Tony's been very quick from day one with that car, but he's had an awful run last year, and but it's great to see an XB and an SLR 5000 in one shot. Basic memories of 1974.
Yeah, it is indeed. When Holden Ford fought it out for Bathurst, of course, that year the Tirana was 6 laps in front, didn't finish, and the Blue Oval got up, didn't they?
Certainly did.
Oh, look at this, John Bow. He's had a bonnet pin come loose, and the bonnet of Mustang Sally is well and truly detached. This is a major drama. And this is a very un-John Bow-like weekend.
Oh, it certainly is. Normally, it never has a drama through reliability or anything through the weekend.
So just comes unplugged. I mean, is that a regular occurrence? What would cause that?
Maybe a little touch or something, or maybe it wasn't put on properly at the start. I'm not quite sure, but maybe a little touch through the race.
Well, we've seen the hip and shoulder action has been thick and fast in this race, so maybe a bit of damage to the nose of the Mustang Coupe caused that to come loose. This is the battle for the lead, and Brett Youlden has worn down Mark King and has got the bright green Monaro in front.
You used all that 5.7 litres over the 5 litres down the straight there, Richard.
The 350 Chev singing away. King's not done with yet, and retakes the lead. Nice move. They'll be side by side down towards turn 3. Good, hard, clean racing between these two. The slightest of touches.
Yep. Good
stuff. And King is in front. This is good racing. Here goes Brett.
Brett's made a very late manoeuvre there.
Wow.
A bit late and a bit deep, but looks like he's made it.
Yeah, last of the late breakers, and had the car sideways on entry, sideways on exit, and sideways through the middle of the corner. That's why the fans tune in and watch Touring Car Masters, Doug.
Oh, it's great to see the two Holdens up the front really having a go for the last lap.
Spoken by a true Ford fan with your fingers crossed as well.
Not it's a great sight from a Ford fan's point of view.
So down the back through the hay shed. What a great fight on the last lap of this race. Touring Car Masters at Phillip Island have turned it on, and last lap passes in race 1 and race 2 now. Of course, that great battle we saw with Bowie and Bullis going at it for the race 1 victory.
And you can see tyres and brakes getting pretty warm, and probably drivers getting a bit warm and tired as well.
These things must be hard to drive at this point of the day.
Yeah, there shouldn't be much left there at all.
Well, Brett has saved up what he's got left, and he's put it to good use. Really waited his time across the race to make his move on Mark King. Timed it to perfection. There's the checkered flag. King gets a bit sideways, but Brett Youlden, his first win in the Touring Car Masters, and takes out race 2 at Phillip Island. This is Bill Pye. This has been a good run by Bill. He's been competitive today.
It's great. Great to see Bill, and it's great to see Brett having a great run. He's a battler in the sport, and he's having a great to see him have a great run here today.
Never runs with a massive budget, but always puts on the best possible show, and that confirms the result. He wins. Chris Stillwell fought his way into the top 10, just in front of a solid Nigel Benson.
It was a great result for the team. You know, everyone's worked very hard on this car to get it here, and you'll see from some of the pictures we've got of the car, it started life as a bit of a wreck, but we've chipped away and created something. At least we can say we won a race. So yeah, we're all wrapped, absolutely.
This weekend marks the debut of the Touring Car Masters series on the Shannon's Nationals program. So what's it all about? We found two uniquely qualified people in the TCM paddock to tell us all about it.
The Touring Car Masters is a series that was established about 7 years ago. It's ostensibly touring cars that raced anywhere in the world up to 1976, and we've tried to encompass an era of touring car racing which was very popular worldwide, especially here in Australia.
Well, the category is full of historic muscle cars, you might say. It has Porsches, has Camaros, Falcons, Tiranas, Camaros, Mustangs, Chargers. It's got a whole array of Australian supercars, you might say, with a sprinkling of American ones as well.
The cars are as they were raced in the period, so the engine specification has to be as it was. We're allowed modern components, so more modern components. We're allowed four-wheel disc brakes, better gearboxes. The engines are a better specification, as in we're allowed new blocks and heads, and the internals are all new. So they're proper race engines, but they have to be ostensibly of the spirit and era that they were.
One of the newest and most anticipated cars in Touring Car Masters is Jim Richards' brand new ride.
It's a 73 model AMX Javelin. These cars were muscle cars to compete against the Mustangs and Camaros. They won the Trans Am American Series in 71, 72. And they're just a unusual looking car, reasonably unique I would say, and we built it up because it was so unique and so unusual looking.
Having raced a multitude of different cars, Richard says there's plenty of reasons to love this category.
I think because the cars look so good, they sound great, they go fast, they're on a tyre that's probably a little bit small for the car, so they get a bit of slide and a bit of wheel spin, and I just think people really like this era of motor car.
The big finale set in round 2 of the Touring Car Masters here at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. It has been an amazing weekend so far, Doug Westwood. The first 2 races have been absolutely brilliant.
And unpredictable with Brett Youlden on the front row, Richard.
Yeah, looking good for this with Hunter there and Edwards in the fight in the Tirana, a combination of results from the first 2 races. And there's just been a lot of different cars towards the front of this field this weekend as well, which is great to see.
Oh, it's fabulous to see, especially Brett up the front and Tony having a good run.
Yeah, the Tirana's been good. This is Greg Keane. He's made a pretty good start in the Porsche. They run their own private little battle, those Porsches. Greg racing his wife Amanda Sparks this weekend as well, it must be said. That's been an ongoing battle in TCM for a couple of seasons now. As the field runs down into turn 1, it's our race 1 winner, Brett Youlden, who leads it through, but Bullis just sticks the nose up the inside at the southern loop and will take the lead, gets it through, and a big wobble from Youlden on the exit.
I think Brett's struggling with cold tyres there, Richard.
Tyre rules for this race. What kind of rubber will these guys have under them after 2 races already?
Some of them would have been smart and would have kept a good set for the last race, but certainly some will be wearing out pretty quickly now.
So it's a matter of tyre conservation and drive within your means to keep the rubber under you until the end of the motor race.
Yeah, it could be. There's strategies vary, whether you want track position in race 2, so you get the good grid position for race 3, or whether you save your best tyres for race 3.
Keane through Siberia, chasing down the Charger. It's great to see the Chrysler product in the field. Bullis, Youlden, Edwards in the Tirana, and then John Bowe. He's got himself up to 4th place. Collins is next. Then Mark King, who's been more sideways than not today, but spectacular to watch. Big field, great to see, putting on a show at Phillip Island. Good start from Bullis, he's worked his way back. And there's Andrew Medicki, black flagged in race 2. The team changed a clutch between races 1 and 2 after a failure in the first race. An amazing effort. Unfortunately, they didn't quite get the car out on the circuit at time. They were black flagged for an improper joining of the race, I guess, to put it in a simple term, and they were pretty disappointed by that. But he's on the comeback trail, and Andrew's a vastly experienced guy, so he'll work his way through the field quickly.
And he's very, very fast, and he doesn't care how much of the car he uses up either through the race.
Well, it's not his racing car, is it?
No, it isn't.
Bob and Sharon Middleton own that. So Greg Keane, you can see the horsepower difference. The big V8s fire past the Porsche. Greg Keane just has no answer.
It's interesting seeing, interesting seeing Jim Richards so far back for race 3. Normally he plays a game and he's right up there at race 3.
Well, we need to wait and see where the Javelin ends itself out at the end of this one, because as you said, he plays the game, canny operator, and just a little bit of experience too,
just a little bit of experience there.
The Shannon's Insurance Javelin, one of the most anticipated racing cars I've seen in Australian motorsport for a long time, as Mark King is using his tyres up a little bit more than he would have liked.
Yeah, he'll be feeling that for the next couple of laps, I think.
Big flat spot?
Yeah, big flat spot there.
And it always goes back to that, doesn't it? So there'll be a vibration, I would have thought, through the steering wheel of the car.
And you can quite often blow a tyre if you keep braking and getting and locking up at that spot.
And you asked where Jim Richards was. Well, there he is. He's just worked his way past this little battle group with Keith Kassulke, who travels down from Papua New Guinea to every round of the Touring Car Masters series.
Yeah, he makes a big effort, but I think it gets well supported by Dick Savvy and the crew at Savvy Motorsport.
And he's just purchased that XB that Glenn Seaton raced last season. It's a beautiful car, and it is a rocket ship in a straight line. A couple of different spec XBs dicing for position.
The XB that Glenn developed last year, it's the specialty Glenn has is in suspension development, and that car was beautifully prepared on the suspension side when it debuted last year.
A couple of cars you'd be familiar with, same shape as what you're used to racing in the TCM series.
Yeah, George and Wayne are having a good battle there with Steve Mason with the new Shelby Mustang that he's racing for the first time at this meeting.
Yeah, Mason won the championship in 2007 in a Camaro, but said to me behind the scenes one day that I've always been a Ford fan, so I'm not too sure how that worked out.
I first raced with Steve. We both had 64 Mustangs in the Group NB days back in the 1990s, and it surprised me when he built that red and white Camaro that Alistair McLean competed in for a few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Won a championship in that, did Steve Mason, but he's since got back into the Ford product. This is a fight. How about this? Meadowkick, Bow, Richards. How's that for a trio of surnames?
That brings back memories of watching Bathurst and the racing back in the 80s and 70s.
Yeah, and Yulden, that's a famous Australian motorsport surname too. And he's starting to back Jim Richards up into John Bow and Meadowkick in the Lubramax Camaro. So in behind is, in front of this group is Tony Edwards in the SLR 5000. So he's got track position now. This is a great fight. Yulden, you mentioned in race 2 that he will not be afraid to get the elbows out and make sure he saves that position and holds on to it.
Yeah, Brett's very, very tough. He uses a lot of the car up in the race, and he really has a red-hot go.
And sideways through the hay shed, that will be an eye-opening experience, but he's going to have this fight with Richards in the Javelin. So how's this? 4 different brands of car, 4 different body shapes, 4 different very experienced drivers locked together. Says a lot for the way the TCM series is run and the parity and the balance of performance that's involved in it.
The cars are very close over the weekend. Over the 3 races, you find a lot of the makes and models are very, very close at the end of the day.
And part of the improvement from the Group N side of racing is reliability as well, and improving things like brakes and suspension.
Yeah, the brakes, certainly the brakes wouldn't last on the Group N spec like they do in the boys are racing here today. We were going through brakes and discs left, right and centre in those days. As
they fight down to turn 1. Yulden's not giving up here, and nor is Meadowkick. He's holding out from John Bow. He's not going to be an easy man to pass. He's the man they used to call Mad Andy back in the Sierra days. These two raced each other in Sierras in the Touring Car Championship in the 80s, while Jim Richards was in the Nissan GTR, and I think Brett Yulden was in a Commodore in production car racing at about the same time.
You know more than me, Richard, there.
I tried. These guys have got such a great history. It's what makes this series so exciting. This is an amazing battle.
It's interesting seeing Bowie struggling to keep up with the other 3 in front of him there. Maybe the parity adjustments from Clipsal might be catching up with him a bit.
Yeah, he's just on the back of this train. This is for the minor podium position. This is for P3 on the racetrack on the last lap of the race. So Either one of these four, you feel, could be standing on the podium, but Brett Youlden wants to make sure it's him.
He's having a great run, actually, through the last part of this lap.
The way they finish, it'll be Bullis who wins the round because he's cleared out in front of the motor race with Edwards next, but Richards looks over the outside at Lukey Heights. You've got to be brave to pull it off there. But this has been a good drive. Bullis, he's back. There's no doubt about it.
He's back. It's great to see him back after a so-so run over the last year or 18 months with the car.
Yeah, a series of engine dramas and reliability problems in the Rain City Racing Mustang, but boy, is it ever back. It has been so fast this weekend, and Bullis has driven it well. Checkered flag. He takes out race 3, the Touring Car Masters, the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, and Jim Richards just pips Brett Youlden at the line for 3rd. So Brett held on almost all of the way.
Well, I mean, if anyone was going to take someone right at the line, it would be Jim Richards.
Yeah. So he got himself onto the podium. Youlden was 4th, a great fight. Medicki fought his way to 5th from the back of the field ahead of John Bow. Mark Kink slipped to 9th at the end, and Eddie Abelnica completed the top 10.
Yeah, it's been good. We've had a great weekend this weekend, and even though Friday was a bit of a washout and we had 4 foot of water under turn 1, it worked out pretty well. We've been struggling a bit with engines, and we took a little bit off last year, but you know, this year we've been doing all right. I had a win at Clipsal. Got turned around by Andrew Madecki in the last race, and ended up, you know, not finishing on the podium, which was disappointing. But anyway, this weekend's made up for it, and we've done pretty well.
Done pretty well, that's an understatement. Bullis closes the margin down to championship leader John Bow. Brett Youlden jumps to 3rd from 8th coming into this weekend. Big jump there for the Monaro driver, with Medicki and Richards just in behind. A great weekend of racing. Great to have them as part of the Shannons Nationals, and TCM will be back on the program at Sandown Park this November.